What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping back into Marvel Comics with the 10 Lives of Wolverine, issue number 2. And if you did not catch issues number 1 of the 10 Lives and Deaths of Wolverine, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with this line. But so far, what we have learned is that Charles Xavier, he has hooked up Wolverine to Cerebro, sending his consciousness throughout all of time. This is all in an effort to save Charles Xavier from Omega Red. With him feeling betrayed by Xavier and the entire council, he is out for blood. And so Omega Red, he is jumping around the time stream, and he has one goal in mind: to kill Xavier. And be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 2 of the 10 Lives of Wolverine, there's gonna be a lot of jumping around the time stream. We're gonna see Wolverine in a lot of different eras. And while it may feel a little jumbled up and you're not really sure why it's jumping all over the place, as the issue comes to an end, it's really gonna start to make sense. But our story, it picks us up in 1900 in northern Canada, and we have a young Wolverine who is currently fighting against a polar bear. And this is obviously all done for money. And while Wolverine is taking on this polar bear, we see the consciousness of Wolverine come into him. With him taking over and taking control, he quickly makes his way out of here. As he tries to make his escape, someone jumps in his way, falls into the pit, and gets eaten by a polar bear. And with Jean Grey having the ability to kind of travel with him as a spirit guide, if you will, letting him know that there could be consequences for every action that you do while you are in the past. And because of this, you need to try to make your impact as minimal as possible. Your only objective should be taking down Omega Red, but being able to make his way outside, he heads to save Charles Xavier. And then we jump to many years ago, jumping us into Japan. Wolverine is with the love of his life. And though Jean Grey, she tries to interrupt this interaction, he really just wants to savor this for one more minute. Because all of this time jumping, it really is starting to take a toll. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. Going back to these times, reliving the person that he used to be. While he may be out here trying to save Xavier, the truth of the matter is Wolverine is having to face some of his greatest regrets. He is coming face to face with his past. But as Wolverine lays here in bed, this is when we see Omega Red begin to take over. And Wolverine knows exactly what he is going to have to do here. But he tries to savor every last millisecond that he can get with this one love. And this is where we get yet another time jump. And we are thrown into Colombia many years ago. And we have Wolverine fighting with Team X. Side by side with Sabretooth and Maverick, Wolverine's consciousness takes over and he starts running in the opposite direction of everyone else, following Jean Grey because Charles Xavier, he is also here, working with a larger coalition, and their objective is to save the rainforest and as many indigenous people as they possibly can during this huge all-out war. And coming back to this place, he had made himself forget exactly what happened here in Colombia. The longer he is here, the more he starts to remember. He remembers everything that Team X had done here because they laid waste to every village that was nearby their objective. He saw hundreds and hundreds of villagers mowed down by his hand and his team because their mission was also to send a message. Fear America more than you fear these cartels. And Wolverine really starts to feel all of this guilt, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. Because at the end of the day, while he may try to forget these times, this is a part of who he is. And part of him wants to stop this, because he knows what's going to happen. And the man he is today would not stand idly by and just let the massacre of hundreds of innocents happen, with Jean Grey doing the best she can to try to convince Wolverine that he cannot also save them and save Professor X, that he has to choose one or the other. But what she doesn't understand is this version of Wolverine is the one that he hates the most. He has the most regrets, so many bad things that he did, and he refuses to let that happen, with Jean trying to remind him that every action he makes, there will be consequences. But for Wolverine, he is already living in the consequences of the actions he took in the past. Actions he feels like he simply just can't live with if he has the opportunity to fix it. And picking up in the recent past, on a mission to Moscow, we had Wolverine, Omega Red, and Domino. This was kind of Omega Red's first mission. They had been looking for Rasputin, sending Omega Red in first. As he comes into a foggy room, he searches around, and Rasputin, he finds him. And this is when Omega Red first learns the truth, with Rasputin disabling the surveillance device that had been planted inside Omega Red when he died and was resurrected. And he lets him know that they had killed him and they brought him back to life without his knowing. And as soon as he accepts this, he finds this to be true. He will come seek him out in Russia, and you will come home back to where you belong. With Rasputin disappearing, Wolverine coming into the room, Omega Red finds himself on a new mission. And that's when we're taken back to northern Canada in 1900. Stuck up here in the ice on his ship is Captain XAVIER. And him and his crew, they have been stuck here for quite some time. Unable to break the ice, unable to escape, with supplies running low, and with the crew's morale at an all-time low. Things are not looking good for our captain, but that is going to be the least of his problems, because Omega Red is about to show up, taking over one shipmate at a time. With one of them getting thrown overboard, it appears that the captain had done this, the crew being very disgruntled about this. Omega Red switching off from individuals. He is doing this to get them all amped up. This is his attempt at killing him right here on the spot, using the crew to have a mutiny against their captain. Meanwhile, young Wolverine, he is making his way here on some sled dogs. And with us jumping back to Colombia, we have Wolverine meeting up with Team X. And as they go to greet him, he immediately turns on them. He opens fire and he starts taking them down. Now, he's not going for kill shots. He is just trying to stop them from what they are about to do. With Wolverine and Sabretooth going in hand-to-hand combat, Wolverine is able to pull a grenade and he blasts Sabretooth straight to hell. Maverick bleeding on the ground, not really understanding what is going on. Wolverine tells him that he is better than what they are going to do, that he needs to get out of this team, he needs to change his life and stop being this person. And with him going off to save XAVIER, leaving them both alive, Sabretooth now has one goal, and that goal is to kill Wolverine. And that is what takes us back to Japan, with Itsu being taken over by Omega Red. And Logan, he knows that Itsu, she is going to die, but it can't be at the hand of Wolverine. Because like Jean said, there are consequences for every action that they make. And in this particular situation, the unborn son, Dakin, he would be the consequence. And so now Wolverine has to make the impossible decision. Something that he feels like he can't do, but it's also something that he cannot not do. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, this one really did do a lot of time jumping. We jumped to multiple different time eras, but what it's really showing us is Wolverine has grown so much as a character. From the early days with him on Team X, with him in northern Canada, just taking on polar bears. He is a man that is truly evolved. Move past that nature of just wanting to kill all of the time, finding that conscience inside of himself. And now that he is having to relive every bad thing he essentially has ever done, because the truth is, throughout all of his time, he has done so many bad things, it's hard to find a time era where there is good, where there is love, like his time in Japan. And Logan finally had enough. Finally getting to a point where he simply could not stay on the sidelines and watch Team X absolutely decimate a population. But he is learning very quickly that these consequences may be bigger than he ever imagined, with none of us really sure how or if this is even going to affect the present. The biggest concern is if Logan kills the love of his life, his unborn child will never come into this world. And then meanwhile, Omega Red, you really can't blame the guy for wanting to go against the Quiet Council and Krakoa, because at the end of the day, they really did screw him over. Yeah, they couldn't trust him, but trust really does go both ways. And if you're starting a nation and letting everyone have a second chance, doing what you did to Omega Red, that is the quickest way to get them to betray you, by showing that you never trusted them to begin with. Now, of course, he's definitely going excessive on getting his revenge, but we have learned that Charles Xavier, he really isn't that greatest leader of all of mutant kind, that he is human, he makes mistakes, he has made a lot of mistakes, and we are seeing those mistakes really start to come to fruition. The only issue is his mistakes, they affect all of mutant kind. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.